I want to say something to each one of you who says that you know God through Jesus Christ. If that be true, this is something you need to understand, is that what we have in God, what we know of God, is not at this level, but it's at that level. It's from heaven through His Word. Now, if we get caught up just what's going on here, which is where we are, basically, we're dealing with what's going on here, and we don't even concern ourselves with what came from there. I'm talking about His Word. We don't know God apart from His Word. So many want to talk about love, the love of God. If you don't exercise the Word of God, then there is no love of God to show anyone. It's all, the love of God is what makes us right through Jesus Christ. But His Word hasn't disappeared. Where is the preaching? How many of you who sit in churches that you consider to be good, that you have a good man as pastor, but how many of you can say that the pastor really preaches the whole counsel of God, the reprove, rebuke, and exhort? When's the last time you've heard a preacher sitting in a pew? When's the last time you heard a preacher preach on divorce, how God has portrayed it, that it should not happen? As Jesus said, in the beginning God created male and female, and divorce was never part of God's plan. Have you ever heard a preacher really bear down on that? I couldn't tell you the last time I've heard a sermon on that. How about sex outside of marriage, premarital sex, the youth in the church? Now, the preacher may talk about, gloss over it sort of, which is sort of what it is. I hate to say that, but have you heard a preacher really talk to the youth in the pews and really break it down, and especially to the girls, how lying guys can be? When's the last time you heard a preacher do that? I couldn't tell you when. It's just everything's sort of superficial, even though they're good men. It's sort of superficial. We're just living here, we're just whatever we're doing here, and we don't even consider, truly, we don't consider God from heaven and His Word He's given us through Jesus Christ and through the apostles, through the prophets, Jesus Christ and the apostles. It's all His Word. It's all His Word. It all has the same weight, the same force. So consider that. Consider the seriousness of our walk. And remember, what we have, and I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. We want to put it just on the earth plane. And it's far more than that. We are living on this earth. But our power comes from God in heaven through His Word. We need to preach His Word. We need to stand upon His Word. So many will go to a church on Sunday and will deny His Word, and especially in homosexuality. You see a lot of that. And they exchange love, and then they won't preach the truth. Well, if you don't preach the truth, what God has already said, He's already condemned homosexuality. He's already talked about that divorce should never happen. He's already talked about these things. And sex should not happen outside marriage. He's talked about these things, and it's very serious. But that gets ignored because of the love of God. If you don't preach His Word, then you're not preaching the love of God.